In 1998, Bernard von Nothaus decided to test the resolve of the federal government.
The Liberty Dollar was available in gold, silver, platinum, and copper. It was available in three forms, both in specie, in other words, gold and silver, in paper, as warehouse receipts, and in digital form. Obviously, the government didn't like it. They arrested me and convicted me of counterfeiting, fraud, and conspiracy, and I'm currently awaiting 22 years sentence in federal prison.
Bitcoin. You should really check out the energy impact of capitalism, or even better, the energy impact of war. Do you know who the largest consumer of energy in the United States is? The military, right? And the largest consumer of oil also. And the biggest polluter in the world is the military. So, pardon me if I don't take that concern so seriously.
Central banks create money to boost the economy and try to pull it back out before inflation heats up. But no one knows how much magic money global banks are creating to boost their profits with questionable loans.
Bitcoin's completely the opposite. It's totally transparent. You know exactly how many exist.
The computer code behind Bitcoin has a built-in brake pedal, cutting the creation of Bitcoins in half every 4 years. This ensures a transparent, controlled scarcity, and ultimately limits the total number of Bitcoins to 21 million. No lobbyist, no politician, no banker can create more, or change the mathematical rules dictating their creation.
Advancing accountability. And that's what I think is most exciting about Bitcoin and the technology behind it, is not so much that it will supplant the dollar or that it will supplant government itself, but that all of a sudden there's a competitor to government, and the government itself now needs to look over its shoulder more than it did.
In 2014, the believers of Bitcoin thought and dreamed about replacing the dollar. But clearly that hasn't happened, and in my view, it will never happen. Just like the internet gave us tweets and blogs and e-books, but it didn't replace books or bookstores.
Remember, a commodity money is relatively scarce, easily recognizable, can be cut into smaller pieces. You can substitute one piece for another of equal value, and you can carry it around without too much trouble.
Let's talk about these 5 characteristics one more time to drive the point home, right? So Bitcoin clearly is scarce. In fact, some would argue it's the scarcest financial asset in the world, right? The inflation rate that Bitcoin mining has slowed down, so it gets scarcer and scarcer every 4 years. It is divisible. We can divide it by 100 billion times. It's transportable. I can send it to anyone on the planet. Doesn't matter which country you're in. The verifiability is interesting. I can verify my Bitcoin immediately in a split second. But a fake dollar bill, a fake gold coin, I'm not so sure I could spot that. Back to you, John.
This digital currency has the 5 key characteristics of money. But is it a store of value? Is it stable, or will it diminish over time, like a commodity rendered useless, or a crop that fails?
So this was really the big question of the first 7-8 years of Bitcoin. Can it be a store of value? Bitcoin has been the best performing financial asset of the last decade, no doubt about it. But it has been volatile, let's be honest. So how I like to think about it is short-term versus long-term volatility, right? Over the long run, fiat currencies lose value by inflation. Every couple of years, you lose, you lose, you lose. We've seen the statistics. Bitcoin, however, increases in value over the long run. But on the short term, well, it can lose 10%, maybe even 50% over a short period of time. You have to be prepared for that.
You could not miss the point more effectively than by thinking of Bitcoin as a currency and payment network that will make shopping easier for the first world. Bitcoin is about everything else, everywhere else.
There are 2.5 billion people without a bank account. With Bitcoin, a mobile phone with an internet connection is now a bank with access to the global marketplace.
What happens when Bitcoin services and infrastructure and Bitcoin wallets and payment processors start going into these countries? These people will be able to gain benefits from trade where they could not previously. These people will be able to send money home, international remittance, which is one of the major pain points of the current financial system.
7 years later, Stefan has become a major voice as a Bitcoin-only educator and podcaster. So good to see you after so many years. Just reflecting back on what you said, told us in 2014-15, what's your quick take on that one?
Well, I think, to be honest, I came out pretty well from that, right? Because I was just basically saying it's going to enable more and more people to transact around the world where currently they're not able to. Now, could we have known back then
that the message of day-to-day transactions all happening on-chain, that didn't really pan out. That said, Lightning Network now has become, has grown and come to a level now where it can be used for day-to-day commerce. I probably could not have foreseen how quickly nation-state adoption would have happened. Obviously, El Salvador being the big example there of a country adopting Bitcoin as legal tender, which is obviously a huge step.
So we were thinking of holding Bitcoin